Welcome to the Limitless Leaders Podcast. This is a show where my guests and I explore and expand on all things mindset, leadership, and communication. On the show, I interview inspiring leaders, business owners, and entrepreneurs from all walks of life, where they share their stories, experiences, and lessons. This is a podcast for you if you're looking to learn, grow, and accelerate your life, career, and who you are. Hi, and welcome to the Limitless Leaders Podcast. This is a forum where we get to interview amazing guests from all walks of life. CEOs, business owners, awesome authors, cafe owners, anyone that is contributing to the growth of others and has a lot to share with us. And today I'm super thrilled to have Donna McGeorge back on the podcast. Welcome.
Thanks for having me, Renee. What has it been? Like at least 2 years, I think?
Two years, and so much has happened since then, and you've written more books, which doesn't surprise me. And today I really can't wait to delve into, explore and expand on the red brick thinking, because I read the book. I always read the books of all of our guests, and it's phenomenal. I just love it. It's simple, and that's what I love about it, but you've got to have the discipline to implement it. Yeah. So for those of you, I'm sure many of you know Donna. Donna's a productivity expert and best-selling author of It's About Time book series. She helps leaders and teams make work through practical strategies that reclaim time and, more importantly, sharpen impact. Over the last 20 years, Donna has led workplace innovation in large corporate environments such as, Ford, Australian Red Cross, Lifeblood, Jetstar, Deloitte, and ANZ Bank, and many others. And she's also working with global companies to help bring about positive organisational change. Her previous books include The 25-Minute Meeting, The First 2 Hours, and The One-Day Refund, and of course the ChatGPT revolution that we talked about 2 years ago, and now has freshly birthed Red Brick Thinking. Make space, find focus, move forward. So welcome, Donna.
Like when you said I freshly birthed it, that just took me a minute. Just took me a minute.
Yeah. Incubated it, birthed it. This book, I must say, and even reading the foreword and everything at the start, it's amazing how your expertise, and I mean, I think we met, I reckon it'd be 10 years ago.
Yeah, it would be 10 years. Yeah.
Easily. And how the journey of learning and working with clients and then getting these things that sometimes we all take for granted and going, that is actually a concept that's going to make a real difference.
Yeah. And so, when people say, what is this book about? And I know we'll get to that in a minute. I go, just about every other book I've written has been in preparation for this book.
Yes.
And most people are saying this one feels a bit different. I had this guy once, he thought he'd insulted me, but no, I'm totally okay with it. He says my other books are tip books. He says Donna writes tip books because they kind of are. They're little training manuals and they're little training guides in books. This one's very different. This one's more mindset, more of a bit of a manifesto around how we just generally do the world differently versus how do I do a better meeting, right?
Yeah.
So it's a lot different to my other work.
It's almost like the overarching message of all your books. If you think about the one-day refund, the 25-minute, it's all about reducing to expand.
Yes.
And that's what this is about. So let's jump straight in and talk about the book. And obviously I've read it, but I'd love you to share, if you can, when you realized this red brick thinking was a thing. And I love the exercise you do with corporates with the Lego. Bit about that. Yeah.
Sure. So it actually came about because when I was doing the research for the one-day refund. So that's kind of 2 books ago, about 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And I found this study based out of the University of Virginia that talked about how when we're presented with a problem, our instinct is to add.
Mm.
And so I started the little Lego problem. I started doing this little Lego bridge, and you can see it's a bit crooked. One leg's longer than the other. And I would say, how would you fix it? And I'd give people bricks, and just about everyone would stick a brick on it.
I would have. It's all about doing.
Like, that's normal, honey. 90% of the world would do that. Yeah. Very few said brick. The one brick on the other side. Now, the interesting thing about red brick thinking, so this is not, other people use exercises very similar to this out in the world. This is not unique. Where it got a bit interesting was when I noticed one day that I'd put the little puzzle out, and half a dozen or so of the little puzzles had a red brick at the bottom. And so people in the room started saying, yeah, you just need to remove the red brick. And so I'm like, yeah. So then I started deliberately making everyone have a red brick at the bottom. So that's, I
love it.
Right. And then now we have red brick thinking. And the idea is that when you're presented with a problem, first ask, before you go adding extra bits, is there something we could remove? Is there a red brick that can be removed here? Could we red brick something?
Yeah.
How it all came about.
I love it. And I think too, having the red brick because it stood out, do you think that made the difference in people going, take that off? Because it doesn't.
It's easy to remember, right? And so I started getting, before I'd even written the book, before I'd even thought about writing the book, just quietly, I started to get lots of people saying, oh, your red brick thing, that's really had a ripple effect in the business, and everyone's talking about it, and it seems to be a thing. And so like any really good, that sounds a little bit immodest, like any really good idea. Yeah. It's the simplicity of it, the relatability of it, accessibility, and practical. It's like it's easy, basically. It is. That's all to say. It's very easy.
Yeah. And the empowerment of it.
Yeah, anyone can do it. You don't need permission. Although I do get a little bit of pushback because, I say in the book I talk about it's not just, cancelling a meeting. It's an easy red brick to remove. Yeah. It's more about, let's really ask the question about why did we have these meetings in the first place? What project are we talking about in there? Do the projects need to be reviewed? Like this? Sometimes they're little R red bricks, sometimes they're big R red bricks, right? Yeah. Yeah. And so it's not just the simple things, it's the philosophy of asking that's the really cool bit.
No, I love that. And you mentioned, so the red brick concept is subtracting something instead of adding something, which obviously links into a freer mindset, clarity, space, and I think, takes off that heaviness. You talk about little R's and big R's. So little red bricks, big red bricks. What are the differences?
Well, one is really easy. So if I use an example, this is just from my own world at the moment that I'm mucking around with. Actually, it came up in a radio interview that I did recently. Yeah. And so I was talking about little R and big R. And I said, a little R red brick is you go on tidy up your makeup drawer and you get rid of your old lipsticks and stuff like that. That's a little R, right? Fairly easy. A big R red brick is asking the question, do I even want to wear makeup?
Makeup, yeah.
Right? Yeah. And so big R red bricks are often more attached to our identity.
Yeah.
They're harder to let go of. They're kind of,
embedded.
To continue the metaphor, they're concreted into a system. So in an organization, they're the really big policies, processes, systems, cultural aspects, the things that the way we've always done it that are really hard to remove. They can be. It just takes a lot more courage to remove them and to not wear makeup, basically.
Yeah, well, and a compelling reason why, I guess, would be the big thing. And I love what you said then, because we talk a lot of clients about, doing a meeting review. And you're right, if you just remove them, that's sort of superficial, but it's going back to, does that meeting need to exist at all? And I think that's, we've become human doings, not human beings. Yes. The thing I love about this red brick concept is you have to be able to do it.
Absolutely. In fact, it's I'm hoping it takes off like a philosophy, right?
Yeah.
So that as I'm sitting there as a leader, as I'm sitting talking to my people, my brain, as I'm listening to the problems maybe being presented or having conversations about it, my brain goes first to, I wonder what we could stop. I wonder what we could remove. And the interesting thing is, sometimes we stop or remove or subtract. It's strategic
Yeah.
subtraction is the technical
Yeah.
term for it.
Yeah.
Sometimes we stop things or strategically subtract something and no one even notices.
Knows.
Our customers don't notice. The board may not notice.
No.
It's like, so we sometimes continue doing things because we've always done it. So a leader's sitting there going, what would happen if we stopped? Who would notice? What would happen? Would the world end? I mean, a very simple example was I went over to my dad's the other day, and my parents are in their 80s, and all of their Christmas stuff is in boxes down in the garage and stuff. So I don't know when this one's going to air, but right now we're talking just before Christmas. And I said to Dad, "Oh, do you want me to help you get all the stuff up for Christmas?" And he goes, "Nah, your mother and I decided to red brick the Christmas tree."
I love it.
Right?
Yeah.
And first of all, I love that he used that phrase.
Of course.
Now, Christmas isn't in their house this year. So this was one, no one would even know that they didn't do it.
Yeah.
And not only that, their future self will thank them because now they don't have to pack it down again in January. So I use this as an example for leaders to think about what is something that we do out of habit, out of routine or ritual, out of obligation.
Yeah.
That if we didn't do it, not only does it save us a bit of time now, but into the future we'll look back and go, gee, I'm glad we stopped that project or removed that procedure or policy or whatever it was that we were doing.
I love that example because Brett and I were just talking about that the other night. We're not having anything here this year, which is rare. Yeah. And I said, we'll just put a few little things up. And then he was like, well, if we go in the attic and pull everything out, and I'm like, the Christmas tree's not coming out. And I think too, psychologically, a lot of companies do the good old stop, start, continue in that order. And I think, I'd love your thoughts on this. I think that impacts this because what are we going to stop doing? Start, and they just focus on that and continue, and the stop bit gets left.
Well, what happens is the stop is hard.
Yeah.
Right. And so they tend to give it a bit of lip service. So they just do things like, let's stop, sending too many emails, or they do some kind of weird thing because they want to get onto the start bit. Let's face it, no one gets Employee of the Month award for saying, let's not do a bunch of things. And so this instinct is really, really strong in us to add. So I agree. I think there's a lot more opportunity to have the conversations and to not even go to the start and continue.
Yeah,
so
just have the stop.
Both. We've done the work, right? We've done work in organisations where we go and facilitate a 2-day strategic planning offsite. And we fill up flip charts full of awesome things and we distill it into a one-pager and off we go and sell it to the organisation. I'm going to say we need to do more strategic subtraction workshops. Yeah. Because the world's not getting easier. And
no.
Like people just have more and more piled onto them all the time.
They do.
Both professionally and personally. So something has to give.
No, I agree. And I think, something we're doing a lot of work around is working on the skills AI can't replace, but AI can give you back time. So use that time to look at what you can start subtracting.
Yeah, it's the ultimate red brick tool, if you will.
Yeah.
Right? So basically, I was actually thinking about this the other day because someone said to me, I'm very worried that if we're too busy using AI, we'll forget how to do critical thinking. Yeah. And I'm like, well, no, you actually have to be a critical thinker to recognize whether AI is giving you anything half decent or not.
That's right.
But I realized how I use it was, I've got to do an article on something. And so I want any of the listeners to imagine that I've got an intern sitting next to me. So I turn to the intern and say, can you go and find me 3 articles on this topic? Do a bit of research. Is there a book? Is there any studies that are done on this? And just give me a first draft of, what you've discovered. Right? Now that just saved me so much time. So I'm outsourcing stuff, which gives me more space and capacity for critical thinking important conversations.
Connection, all of those things,
I just think it's at our peril. I'm not trying to plug another book.
No, but it is.
If you're not already into it, grab a hold of the ChatGPT revolution because it's a ripper. And it just gets you going, right? To start using it to create the space for better stuff.
Yeah, definitely. I love that. I love it. With the red brick thinking, I just thought I'd share something that came up for me when I was reading it that I hadn't really realized when I got diagnosed with cancer last March, so 24. The first week I was sort of like, am I going to be here? Do I shut my business? Do I not tell anyone? I actually thought about, and I thought it might be a bit obvious when I have no hair. Um, and something for me was I said to my team, and it just came out, I said, business as usual, that I can't be around people, so that makes it quite hard. Everything needs to be virtual, and I have to come out of certain communities and running night events and traveling for work, which I do a lot of normally. And I was a bit nervous, but I actually grew my business last year, Donna, from subtracting. I'm not going to call it fluff because that's a bit rude. The luxurious stuff, I call it. It's that
It,
other layer.
it's peripheral stuff that
Yeah,
yeah, luxurious doesn't sound right. You enjoyed
no.
it. You sometimes had
Great
fun at those communities,
people.
all those kind of
Yeah.
things. But what happens is we strip those back because what
Mm,
you've done is recognized these are the most important things for me. And so I'm
yeah,
going to subtract anything that gets in the way of me doing these things.
that's right.
Now, Renee, the only thing I'm going to rouse on you on, because of
Mm,
course you did the right thing and I'm glad you grew your business. And that's actually the idea. When we go deep on things, we end
yeah,
up growing. Is how come we wait for a crisis to
yeah.
do it? Right?
Spot on.
Right.
Good
And so
question.
my wish for anyone listening to this right now is, first of all, I'm so glad you're still with us, and I've been
Yeah,
following
thank
you on
you.
your journey with your cancer and everything. So, and thank you for sharing because it needs to be talked about more.
Yeah,
So
it
many
does.
people go to ground and hide, right?
Yeah,
And so, but I would say that we wait for crises to make a change. We wait for a
yeah,
health thing, or if you think about as simple as it's coming up to Christmas
yeah,
and suddenly you're having guests stay and the guest room's a mess, crisis, and now you're running around
yeah.
like a mad thing to get your guest room tidy. So
Mm,
it can be as simple as that, or it can be our health, or it
yeah.
can be burnout, or it could be your team. You're suddenly starting to give
Divorce,
attention to
anything.
your team,
Yeah,
whatever it is.
yeah,
My real wish for people is get this book now,
yeah.
and apart from the fact I want them to buy it, but start red bricking before you need to.
To
Right?
be proactive about those red bricks. Yeah, don't let them be there and have to remove them. Just actually, even
So,
it's
or
almost,
don't
yeah,
wait till it suddenly feels like I've got to madly start chucking a heap of red
yeah,
bricks out.
yeah,
Start, you already know now
yeah,
because you've had your experience, you can keep your life fairly well red bricked, if we want to use
yeah,
that phrase, forever. There's
yeah,
no need to
totally.
let stuff accumulate. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good point. And you're right, it does, like, it's that compelling reason thing. A lot of people don't give up smoking until they find out they've got cancer or,
Right.
whatever it is. But I think it's a really good point, and I think it's then maintaining the why of why you've removed that red brick, because as soon as I was back out, so I was like in lockdown basically March till December last year. Me being, me, I'm a giver, I'm a connector, I'm high energy. I'm like, every community's like, are you back, are you back, are you back?
Mm.
Now, funnily enough, there were one or two I hadn't heard from my whole journey. So I was a bit like, And then some of the others, I'm like, I'm getting connection, I'm getting collaboration. And it's not just about the commercial aspect, but I only have so much energy. So I nearly jumped back into everything. And then I got pneumonia, which I've never had, didn't even get a cold through chemo, but I've got scarring now because of on my lungs. So I got pneumonia, and then I was like, and Brett actually doesn't say a lot about my work go lifestyle, but he said, no, this has happened. You've never had pneumonia. This has happened because you just jumped back on the bandwagon.
It's
And
a
my
sign,
mum,
right? And
yeah,
so I would also say to you, again, and you touched on this, and I kind of went down a different rabbit hole.
yeah,
I'm going to come back to it now. Compelling reason. You
yeah,
said it. When you doubled down on the most important things and let go of the things that were peripheral to your
yeah,
work, your business improved, your
yeah,
business grew.
yeah,
And I think we don't pay enough. I mean, if that isn't enough of a compelling reason, just from a commercial
Yeah.
perspective, right?
Yeah,
Not to
that's
mention
right.
health, but commercial
Yeah.
perspective. And so if you're a leader listening to this and you're thinking, well, my business may not grow. Yes, it will.
Will.
This is the most interesting part of it, is when we remove the things, products, services, whatever,
Yeah.
taken us away from our core, we grow our core and we grow our business.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And it goes back
I
to
think
the
there's a
old
real commercial reason for this. There's definitely a health reason, but absolutely a commercial reason.
a commercial and energy management as well, I think, as
Yeah.
well. And especially if people are listening to this that have a practice like us,
Mm.
we're naturally givers.
Yes.
I know I
Why
am.
we do it.
We're givers, and even this year I'm doing like a lot of work with advocacy for breast cancer and things. Would I love to do that full time? Yes, but it doesn't pay the bills. So I've got to really create, so I'm in the process creating some boundaries around what I do and what I don't.
Yeah.
But no, I love it. It goes back to the 80-20 at the end of the day.
Yep.
It does.
Yeah.
We're a culture, you've got a chapter on a culture addicted to accumulation. What do you think has driven that? Do you think it's got worse since COVID?
Gotten worse since COVID. It's actually been, if I was to get really scientific about it,
Yeah.
it's hardwired into our human nature from a survival perspective. So if we go back 35, 40,000 years, it was better for us to have more before winter hit.
Yeah.
So the
Yeah.
more people around us, the more food we've collected, the more resources we have, the
Yeah.
safer we will be. So at
Mm.
some level, there's an instinctive
Yeah,
thing around this.
definitely.
I would actually think it's probably more the growth of social media, where
Yeah.
we can see more of what is available and what other people are having, and this whole "I'll have what she's having" kind of
The
thing
whole
starts to
FOMO.
kick in.
Yeah.
Yeah, so was there a time in my life where I did not know about the latest device or the latest thing? Sure, and I didn't even miss it,
No,
right?
no,
But
that's
now the
right.
moment Renee comes on and says, "I just got a new iPhone," and I go, "Oh, that new iPhone looks awesome."
Oh,
So
I
the
never get
instinct,
that. Yeah.
right?
Yeah, yeah,
So that
totally.
instinct. But we're coming up on, first of all, crazy shopping time with
Oh,
Christmas coming,
yeah.
and the instinct. And I don't know about you and your family, but I know mine. It is really hard to figure out what to buy people,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
everyone just goes and gets what they need. So now I've got to
yeah.
find something more to give them
Mm.
as a
Yeah,
gift. But
yeah.
then the next thing that happens is the Boxing Day test. That was
So,
Freudian, because I do like
yeah.
the cricket. The Boxing Day sales.
Yeah. You're not watching the cricket while you're doing this, eh? No. It's
No,
finished,
no,
hasn't it?
no. And
Yeah.
I never go to the Boxing Day sales because I'm always watching the Boxing Day
Boxing.
test.
Yeah.
But the sales happen, and there's an interesting phenomenon that it's about 6 weeks after Boxing Day, which is around Valentine's Day,
Okay. Yeah.
which is around that time is when the most busiest time of year for the tip, for
Yeah.
garbage
Yeah.
disposal,
Yeah.
because we buy all this crap, we get all the crap for Christmas, then we
You
buy a
don't
bunch more
need.
crap, and then about 6 weeks later we go, I've got to get rid of this crap.
Yeah.
So not
Yeah.
the most romantic date going to the tip, but it is
No.
a very popular
Well, that's
destination.
interesting. That's really interesting. And, I think, I think you mentioned in the book, retail therapy, all these different things we
Yeah,
use
we use
as,
this language. We feel better when we go shopping.
oh,
I don't know if you've
yeah,
ever done it, and I'm guilty
yeah,
as charged, where I've needed a bit of retail therapy because I
yeah,
wasn't feeling good about myself or whatever was going
yeah,
on. And so I buy something, and then I don't know, a year later, it's still got the tags on and I've never
yeah.
worn it.
Just that dopamine.
Yeah.
It's funny. I will be really honest. I'm a bit of my love language is giving gifts. So I shop a lot for gifts. But when I had my chemotherapy, I noticed, so the day after, which was always a Saturday, pretty like very ill, thermometer every half an hour, all that sort of stuff. But my mind was really active and I didn't realize why, but the steroids. So I'd say to Brett, I can clean out the pantry, and he'd just be like, and what I started doing was buying stuff online, and I'm happy. I haven't shared this. I think Shelley's the only person I've told because she doesn't shop a lot. So she was like, so I'd buy all this stuff, I almost forget I'd ordered it, and it would come. And I spoke to my oncologist and I said, am I weird or is that a thing? And she said, It's a thing because you're on these steroids, you're just sitting there. And I said, I don't know what to do. She goes, well, what could you do? I said, I'm going to shop my butt off, but I'm going to keep everything in the carts. So the morning after each chemo, I would look and there'd be, Donna, I'm talking like stuff that I don't even need, that I don't, yeah. And it just got me through. It was the weirdest thing.
It's like, having a cigarette on your mouth but not lighting it.
Yeah, yeah.
I,
So you leave
I
it in the cart.
putting it in the car. But I don't think it's helped by how accessible all
Oh,
this stuff is
too
either. So
easy.
my mum, she'll never listen to this, so it's okay. My mum's addicted to AliExpress, which is like Temu
Oh,
and
yeah,
Shein
yeah,
and all
yeah.
that sort of stuff. And she knows that the picture in the thing that you're buying never matches. So
No.
it's like, because here's the beautiful designer shirt made out of a lovely cotton
Oh,
linen,
yeah,
and it
yeah.
turns up and it's this horrible,
Oh,
I
yeah,
don't know,
stuff.
synthetic thing.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
she only paid $5 for it. So in her mind, she goes, yeah, but I only paid $5.
yeah.
And look, she can spend her money on whatever she likes. I'm not going to judge her about what she wants to do, and it makes her happy. But I do kind of think to myself, how many of us do
Do
that
that.
sort of stuff?
Yeah.
And suddenly, before we know it, we've done 10 $5
Oh,
purchases.
and it adds up. Yeah.
It
It's
does
like
add up.
there's a show on Netflix about all of that. I've forgotten what it's called. It's brilliant, where it's all visual. And they say most people in Australia in the 70s were lucky to have a pair of runners.
Yep.
Now every child has three or four, and they
Right.
do a visual of them, and it covers the whole of Australia. Like it's that. Speaking of, because I think retail therapy, there's a thread of emotion. We buy on logic, justify with emotion. You talk about the emotional red bricks, the five. I think that'd be really worth exploring, especially for leaders of this day and age.
So it's interesting. These are the ones that I think affect us across both of the aspects of our lives, personal
Yeah,
and professional. But they're usually the ones that hit us harder
yeah,
personally.
personally.
So they're things like weight, the things that we've been carrying for a long time.
Yeah,
So I always think we walk around with I don't know, emotional backpacks. So you might call it
yeah,
baggage, whatever.
yeah.
And there's stuff that we've just been carrying for a really long time. It could be everything from resentments through to
Unforgiveness, just
yeah, unforgiveness or intentions.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I've always wanted to do X and I've just never done. So I carry these intentions around, and then I beat myself up because I never
yeah,
quite do it. I think reactivity,
yeah,
where the moment something triggers, this is the second one. So
yeah,
weight is the first one, reactivity is the second one.
yeah,
So I get triggered really quickly by things. So it could be shopping.
yeah,
I'm sitting there browsing Instagram. I see something and go, boom, I'm going to buy it. Or it could be that we get, triggered by like emotional triggers.
yeah, yeah,
Right. And so I talk about whose responsibility is a trigger of
yeah.
this,
That's interesting. Yeah,
so if, let's say, you come to me and say, oh, Donna, I get really triggered by people who drink tea.
yeah,
Is it my job to not drink tea anymore, or is it your job to manage your trigger around that?
yeah,
Right.
yeah,
So I talk a
yeah,
little bit about how we get
yeah,
very reactive. I also talk about overcommitment and obligation. So one's overcommitment, one's obligation, but
yeah.
I'll conflate them for the moment, because often we become overcommitted because of obligation.
Spot
This
on.
time of year, we are rife with
Oh,
obligation.
oh,
Absolutely rife. We've got to do all the things,
yeah.
right?
We've got to see you before Christmas. It's
Yeah, and
like,
then we overcommit, or someone
yeah,
says, "Oh, Renee, you're coming for Christmas. Don't forget to bring your beautiful trifle that you
yeah,
always make." And you're like, "I'm flat out getting to the end of the year. I haven't
yeah,
got time to make a trifle." So, although
yeah.
I know your family does a lot of cooking, so I suspect that's probably a bad example. No, you love
The only
cooking.
thing I don't cook is desserts.
Well, there you go. So I picked rightly. So they're they're very
Yeah,
interrelated. That and obligations, they're all related.
they
Obligations are
are.
heavy. I always say the moment you kind of feel like, do I really have to do that?
It is
That
a
could be a red brick
heaviness.
worth exploring, right? That heaviness.
Yeah,
And the last one is relationships, and it's a bit tricky
yeah. I was
because
just going to ask you about this. Bricks can be
yeah.
people, right?
I was just reading something on social media about how there was someone talking about Thanksgiving in the United States and how family gatherings are getting smaller and smaller because
Yeah,
people aren't coming to them, and how sad it is that there's a generation of people that are starting to reject parents and aunts and
yeah,
uncles and stuff. Now,
Mm.
the reason they're doing that is because they may have been mistreated their whole lives, or their parents were very mean, or aunts
Yeah,
and uncles, whatever.
yeah.
And so I do think younger generations are better at not falling for the obligation of
Patience. I
relationship,
agree.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so it's not I don't think anyone should read my book and then decide to divorce their partner. That's not what I'm
No,
about.
no.
But I do, I don't want to go there, but I do think it's worth exploring what are the roles, relationships, expectations that have been put on you.
Yeah,
Eldest daughters, I don't know whether you're an eldest daughter or
yeah,
not.
I
I'm an
am.
eldest daughter, and there's a lot of responsibilities that get piled
Yeah,
on around that. And so, whilst I'm not, you know, canceling my relationship with my parents, I'm shifting it, and I'm
yeah,
making changes around what the expectations are and how to
yeah,
share that a bit more with my siblings, who
yeah.
are awesome, by the way. They're
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally get that. I've been doing a lot of work on relationships because a lot of companies don't talk about them. So forgiveness, what makes up a relationship, your energy vampires, and I
Mm-hmm.
think that, yeah, I'm not saying pull the brick out of a person, but it could be at we're similar ages, very young, but at our age, you accumulate. I don't know about you. I've accumulated a lot of friends. I don't fall out with. I've fallen out with two people in the last 6 years, which was very interesting. I call it the unspoken breakup. There
Mm-hmm.
was no fight.
It's
Just
just
some
stop.
values, things change. And I think at our age, going, what red bricks are in my relationships that I need to remove? Have our values changed, or do I just hang out with Mary because I've known her 40 years? That sort of
Right.
thing.
And this is at the
Oh,
heart
another
of red brick.
thing.
It's at the heart of red brick thinking.
Yeah.
Does the thing, whatever it is,
Yeah.
continue to serve either its purpose or
Yeah.
me or even them?
Yeah.
And I started to recognize I had some relationships in my world where the energy I was using to prepare for a coffee with them or a
Yeah.
conversation with them, because I had to walk on eggshells the whole time and pussyfoot
Yeah.
around things,
Yeah.
or manage the triggers, like,
Yeah.
because they couldn't manage their own triggers, so I had to constantly think
Yeah.
about, I better not say that, I better not say that, I better not say that, because of their triggers. And so, again, you don't have to end the
No,
relationship,
no.
but you can red brick the
Yeah.
aspects of it that are not serving either of you anymore.
Yeah, that's right. That's
Yeah,
yeah. It's
yeah,
an interesting one, isn't it? And it's not easy, I think, with the people side. Not so much me, but people that have friends that are in one group.
yeah.
You get it? Like my friends are sort of from every different schools, countries, places, but I think people maybe that have that set of friends, and there's some in there that you just don't, but
But
you
they've
catch
had
up.
nearly their whole life. I find this. I was actually at a
Yeah,
family member's 80th birthday that live up this way,
yeah,
and I was so interested that they'd all lived in the one house. The family had lived in this one house their whole life. They'd lived in this
yeah,
one
yeah.
area. The kids then bought houses nearby.
Nearby, yeah,
And they're still friends with all of their school friends and their school friends' parents. And it was this big community of people. I'm like, wow. So I don't have that. So my dad was in the
no,
Navy. We moved all the time.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And even now, my husband and I are not attached to locations. We kind of just go
No,
where we need to go. We're about to
home
move
is
again,
home is where you are. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But and it did I don't think there's a right or wrong here,
No,
but I do wonder if the obligations are harder when you, and the relationships and the commitments and the things that you do are harder to adjust if they're very entrenched.
entrenched, and the place becomes your identity. Well, it does,
Yes.
right? It's
I
so
mean,
yeah,
identity is always the thing, right? So if a
yeah,
red brick is attached to an identity, it's a big R red brick, and it's going to be
yeah.
super hard to shift.
Yeah, and I love that. We could talk for so long on this
No,
because it's so
amazing.
interesting. But the identity thing's something I did explore a bit when I read a lot during my cancer. I was sent starved cancer, all these books,
Mhm.
and it was just too much. I literally put the books in a box and the emails in a folder and went. So I did natural therapy in conjunction with everything. So I was like, I don't need to read any of that. But it was just really interesting, the piece around identity,
Mm.
because I felt I feel like I've watched myself go through this almost higher self, like I'm an observer, and it's not I haven't dealt with it, but I've looked at it from the outside because I believe you can change anything if you're observing it in a different from a different lens.
Well, and you don't let it
What's the word?
define who you are,
Yeah,
right?
no,
Like
no.
a couple of years ago, I got a type 2 diabetes
Yeah,
diagnosis.
yeah,
And so I worked with another colleague of ours, Alessandra, to
yeah,
shift.
yeah.
And right from the very beginning, I didn't say I was a type 2 diabetic. I never
No,
attached it to my identity.
no.
I only said that it's a disease I currently have and I'm working on getting rid of it. And I did.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
no longer have type 2 diabetes. And so I think sometimes we attach our identity to
Do
things.
it.
It's the hardest, red brick
It is.
they're the hardest red bricks is when
They
we have
they
some
are.
form of our identity attached to it.
They are. They are. I found a video the other day. I don't remember doing like I do not, and it was when I got diagnosed, and I'm literally looking at like I'm looking at you, Donna, and I'm like, just been can't even speak, diagnosed, stage 3, blah blah blah. So anyway, why am I doing this video? I'm going to be here. This is happening for me, not to me. Goodbye. And I found the video and I'm like, OMG, I don't remember doing it. And it was almost like, yeah, you're right. So it doesn't. And, people say you should have cancer survivor on your LinkedIn. And if I'm introduced, I'm just in as a survivor. And I never said the red bricks that I took out of the whole cancer thing was battle or fighting cancer. I never wrote that. I wrote part of my healing journey. A
It's an
lot of the reframes.
interesting paradigmatic metaphor that we often use a war or battle kind of
Yeah.
context with
Fighting
illness.
against. Yeah.
Yeah, and even the word survive, it kind of implies that as well.
It
So
does.
good for you for not going there because it does not define who you are.
No,
Your beautiful books
yeah,
define who you are. The work you do defines who you are,
yeah,
right?
you're right. And it's ironic, the gift mindset that I wrote before I got,
Right.
I did actually go and read my own book. I was like, what is the gift in this? I'm going to find out. Donna, I'd love just to ask you, if you were to think of a leader, a CEO, an exec, or a company that you think that have a good example of using red brick thinking, who would that be?
Gee, let me think about that. I'd probably go with Australian Red Cross Lifeblood.
Yep.
Uh, they have done as much as they can to streamline, pull out, and only leave what's absolutely necessary. So if you go and donate blood,
Yeah.
when you're allowed to again,
Yeah,
if you're
yeah,
allowed to
yeah.
again, so that when you go in there to donate, and anyone that's listening right now, if you're not a donor, please go and donate.
Yes, do
They've
it.
done everything they can to make it a really streamlined experience. They've
Process.
red-bricked as much as possible so
Yeah.
you can get in, make your donation, and get out
Yeah.
in a way that's still safe and in
Yeah.
a way that still makes sure that everyone is, doing everything that they
Aligned.
need to do.
Yeah.
So I would
Yeah.
say, so I worked with them about 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
This was before Red Brick Thinking. They knew about the principle of it, but it was a program called It's About Time.
Yeah.
And we were all talking about how do we really, they had an example of time on the couch. Basically,
Yeah.
you come in, you sit on the couch and you're waiting, and then they talk about time in the chair. How long are you in the chair
Yeah.
for? And, and so we did a lot of work around streamlining that.
Yeah, I love it. I love that it's always been if you look at it, anyone that's read Donna's books, this is in there. It's just not verbalized as red brick thinking.
Yeah, right.
Amazing. Donna, so if people want to get this book, Red Brick Thinking, or any of your other books, where can they get these?
Okay, so it's always on Amazon and Booktopia, and at the moment they typically discount it anyway. So right now they've got about a 20% discount at the moment.
Yeah.
You can, of course, all the links are on my website, donnamcgeorge.com.
Awesome.
And all good bookstores have it right now. It'll be all through all the airports through the month of December.
Awesome.
Yeah. So...
I'll have to get some pickies for you and
thanks.
neaten up the shelves as I do. I think
I do the same thing. I see anytime I see
I got caught. I got caught.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, so I might have looked a bit freaky because I was looking at all the different books and then I'm thinking, well, I'll put that one up there. And I must have gone like that. And this guy behind me is like, excuse me, we have a planogram. And I said, yeah, isn't that meant to be there? And it was like, I ended up just buying another copy of the book it was funny. So I've got
I did the
some,
same thing. I went in the other day and I just walked up to the girl at Dimmicks and said, see this book? I'm the author. And she goes,
yeah,
awesome. So we have a big chat. And I
yeah,
said,
yeah.
shelves. She went, absolutely. Boom. We got
If
it front
you
and
go
center.
in as the author, yeah, but when
Yeah.
you're I
No,
moved
no.
three people's books up. It was a
Oh,
bit,
I'm always moving people's books around, but you
yeah.
probably look like a shoplifter standing there, like
Yeah,
looking under you.
you'll be next. They'll have on Current Affair Attack of the Thought Leaders, just glimpses of everyone. So I've got some quick trivia for you.
Yes.
What is your favorite sound or noise?
Rain on a tin roof.
Yeah, it's mine as well. It's the
Yeah, I love
best,
it.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Just not on a Monday morning. If you had one last meal, what would it be?
Roast lamb dinner with nice veggies. Love
Yeah,
it. Yep.
beautiful. And if you took on another profession other than what you're doing now, what would that be?
Probably anthropologist. I have a big
Yeah.
interest in how humans do the world.
Yeah, beautiful. You're sort of doing that in a way.
Kinda, I did think about going and doing some postgrad study in anthropology to tighten it up a bit, but yeah, haven't done that.
No, don't think you need to. Look, Donna, thank you so much for being on the podcast. I've loved our conversation. Um, and I
Always a pleasure hanging with you, Renee.
and we haven't caught up for a while, but I think you're not a red brick I'll be removing. Let's put it that way.
Thank you.
So grab your copy of this book, and especially in leadership, you've got to lead the way. Start this red brick thinking sooner rather than later. So thanks, Donna. Thank you everybody for listening. As always, we'd love your feedback. Donna's contact details and where you can buy her new book will be in the show notes. And thank you for listening from wherever you are in the world. Thank you for listening to the Limitless Leaders Podcast. So you don't miss an episode, make sure you follow the show in your favorite podcast app. Feel free to share this podcast with your family, friends, and work colleagues. If you're enjoying the show, find out more on what we do at RG Dynamics at www.reneegiarrusso.com. Until next time, be limitless.